Hello, it's Mary Beth Shaw from StencilGirl Products. Welcome to the November Wellness Journal. I have a lot to share today, so I want to get going. I'm going to show you the journal. I'm going to show you some things I've been doing in it and give you examples because I think you might want to do these things in your journals, or you might want to at least know about them. Or if you don't have to watch. But anyway, I think they're kind of cool. So let's get the camera flipped and then we'll get going and I'll show you. All right, so here's my November journal, and I'm going to set these pages aside for the moment, and I'll just show you this part. All right, so this is the front part, November 24. And then you open it up, and you've got this part, and then you open it up, and you've got this part. So, as usual, same format. This is in the YouTube. It's in our YouTube channel, How to Make This Journal, if you're so interested. It was developed by Andrea Chabelot, and I love this. I have done it for 2 years in a row. I think next year I'm going to go back to just a regular journal, I believe. And I don't know that I'm going to hold myself to monthly, but I'll tell you all when it comes up. So at any rate, things I did here. This is that pet tape that I typically buy from Seth Apter. It's a really cool tape that you peel it apart from its background, and I particularly like it because this one is a window, and I just think it's super cool. I like this idea of the outside inside, look, and I just love that. Got a lot of collage in here, as usual. I've got some stencils in here. This is the DD Catron stencil, the iChart stencil, which truly has become a fave of mine because I have a lot of people in my life that have eye problems right now. My husband, my mom, and a dear friend. So I feel like I've spent a lot of time in the offices of retinal specialists, and anyway, this stencil is pretty darn cool. Lots of collage in this. And you can see I've started my background with very loose watercolor, as I sometimes do. I think I've talked about this in previous videos, that I either start with a bunch of collage or I start with a really loose watercolor background, one or the other, and I go from there. So today what I'm going to show you with some products is then how you can go back into your page and just add one more layer to create a little bit of depth. But first, let's look at the back side of this one. Okay, so here's the back side. Again, same thing. I had watercolor collage on top. I cannot overemphasize how important these journals have been to me, truly. The Wellness Journal has just gotten me through a lot, period. And if you have not started an art journal practice for yourself, you don't have to make it like this. Just grab a mixed media journal and start working in it. I think that's what I'm going to do next year, go back to mixed media journals. I've done this for 2 years, and I have adored the process, but I want to get a little bit more freeform. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is this spiral thing. It's here. That's on collage. It's here. This is on collage. And I think, oh, here's a piece here. And then these were hand-drawn with a marker to kind of simulate that. This is a real symbol for me, the spiral. I use this symbol when I'm spiraling. There's a lot going on in many different levels. And I want to show you how I created this exact thing because people have asked me, they've seen my journals, and they've asked me about it. So here is the thing you use. This is, it's some kind of a hair product. I don't even know what it's for, but I'm going to put it in my Amazon shop so you'll have a link to it, or maybe you have your own source. And I'm going to show you how I did the ones I made. I'm going to make a few more right now. So here's what I do. I like to use a permanent paint. So of course I use my golden, and I'm going to use a fluid acrylic. You could use a high flow, but I feel like the high flow is just a little too wet and a little too thin for this application. So what I do is I put a little bit of my fluid acrylic in here. And I'm not putting that much, okay? I've just got a little bit down at the bottom here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of water. I have a pipette, and I'm going to add a little bit of water. I don't know, maybe like a half a pipette worth of water. It's the eyeball science. And then I'm going to shake it around in here. And I'm going to get, this is a piece of deli paper. And here's the thing, if you mess it up, you just get another piece of paper. So when you tip it up, can you see how it goes right down into that? I mean, isn't that cool? It's coming down to the ends. You can squeeze it. Look at that. Permanent, permanent, permanent. Set it aside, don't mess with it. I love these parts. I love the thickness of this. I did not invent this, people. I saw somebody doing it on Instagram. I wish I could give him credit. I didn't know how much I was going to love it, truly. Yeah, love, love, love. I want to try on a couple other papers to show you. I will say I've done it on tissue. I've done it on paper just out of my printer. I've done it on magazines. This is a magazine page. I've done it on hand-painted papers. So this is a paper that I had painted, and you know, it just goes into my pile. So here's the thing. You can create lines like this. You can create lines like this. You can create this. I put my little paw in it right there, so I've got a mark. But I'm telling you, when you just take these little bits, it puts such a movement in your piece, especially a little swipe like that. I just adore that. I tend to do it on collage, mainly because I'm not as confident as I would like to be in this exact tool at the moment. Once I am more confident with it, I'll probably do it, you know, right on to my journal. But let's see about this. So there you go. And look at that. I'm gonna reach behind me. I want to get these out of the way first so I don't mess them up because they need to dry. And I want to show you a painting I'm working on. So this is, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 20 by 20. And I just did some swipes of it across here to create a sense of movement. Now this isn't even remotely done, but I'm going to go back in and keep painting and then paint over these, and those parts will still be available to see. Look how I used this stencil over here, this Nicole Watson stencil. I frequently put these things in the background and then allow them to become layered up with paint, etc. So there are parts hidden underneath, and as I keep working one way or another, little things will be revealed, and I love that. All right, let me tell you a little bit more about this. I don't use very much paint because I don't want to waste it, because once it's in here, I don't want to put it back in here because I've already diluted it with water, and I don't want to change the, you know, the viscosity of the original paint. So I am going to just use enough that I can use it up, and then I will take this and totally wash it out. Here's a few more I've done. I don't know. Look, you can make dots like this. This is just a cool little thing. It's so cool. So once I stop the recorder, I'm gonna play with this for a little bit more to use up all the paint, and then I'll wash it out. I have not tried it with anything other than my golden acrylics because I knew I wanted it to be permanent because I was making collage parts, and so there's that. Okay, it's my most fun product of, oh my God, of the year, I would say. This is my #1 product of the year, and it is cheap, cheap, cheap. So there you go. Next thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about touching up your pages. And I'm going to use this cover one to illustrate this. This is a thing where you can just go in and, you know, we've all heard of, you know, every class you've ever taken that says, bring a black pen, a white pen. So you can go back in and make little marks and this and that. Yeah, sure. That's fantastic. And I love doing that. And I've probably done it in here. Well, there's some black. This is black. You know, I do that all the time. But I like to add glazes and to, you know, hit it again one more time with just some interesting something to add that additional final layer. Now, these are these watercolors that I am in love with, guys. There's Gansai Tambi or Tambi or whatever by Kuretake. Granulating colors. So it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 colors in an empty thing. I don't know why. I don't know if they couldn't think of number 6. I could give them a clue. Should be green. Make green. But anyway, my only complaint about this is that these are all individual. I mean, they're little individual things. And they live in a paper box with no lid. So you can keep this and put it back in, but I don't know, man, I wish it was in like a little, I don't know, something else that I could travel with better. So here it is. If you get them mixed up, I will say this is a good thing. They have it written on the back what the color is. This is Aurora Velvet, or not Velvet, Violet, Aurora Violet. I made a little list of the colors here, as I do. I used 2 different papers. This is a handmade paper. You will see this one around a lot. I can't think what it's called, but you'll see it. I mean, look at the edges. I'm sure you've seen this everywhere. I'm not a huge fan of this paper, but I wanted to see how it would react. And it does granulate out pretty nicely on these. This is actual watercolor paper. Not a hot press, but not a real rough press or super cold press either. But if I bring these up to the camera, I think you can see the granulation of these. Okay, I'm just gonna say blue and orange are my favorite. What a surprise, because you know those are my colors. And I took this group of watercolor to Ireland with me for my class, and to say that my students liked them would be the world's biggest understatement. I mean, they adored them. Everybody wanted to use them, and it just was super, super fun. So these are something I definitely use. Let's use the Aurora Blue. And now you probably won't see the granulation on the first round. You need to get it wet. You need to let it kind of dry down. So Aurora Blue with a brush. I'm going to put it across the top here. And you don't have to have this exact watercolor. This is just one way I like to add that glaze. So then I get my brush. I got my water up here in case you're wondering what I'm doing. Get my brush wet and then put some water here and let it drip down. It's not dripping that much. We're going to put some more water in. See if we can get a little bit of drip action. Okay, there it goes. The water will follow the edge of that leaf. And then, boy, that was great camera work, right? I completely blocked what I was doing with my arm. Okay, so this is something I love doing, is letting it drip around. I definitely did not mean to put it on that leaf so much. That was something Nicole Watson sent me. So cute, right? Oh my gosh, that girl, something. I think I had bought something off her Etsy site, and she sent me one of these leaves, and I was like, oh my God. So I will tap it and get it, if you hit it hard against the table, you can get it to create those little legs out the side. Love, love, love. So that is a nice, that added one more layer there. And so I'm going to just put a little bit of it over here as well. This is the Andrea Garvey stencil here underneath, which I really like too. I was playing with some of our new releases this month, which was fun. So when this dries down, this will give this page that little extra je ne sais quoi, right? Right. And it's going to create a hard watercolor line here at the edge, which I like because that's a darker next to a lighter color, and it's really going to pop this date area and make it pop out a little bit more from the back. Okay, so adding some watercolor is a glaze or a drip or whatever you want to call it, is one way to make your pages a little bit more interesting. Now let's go to the two insert pages. All right, so this one is a piece where I used a lot of different collage. I used some tissue, a lot of different things. Now I've already embellished this with my watercolor like I do. So this section doesn't really need anything. Let's flip it. Now look at this here. I was using paint. I was using the stencil. This is the DD Catron stencil. And then I drew on here, and right here, I'm going to point this out to you. So right here, I went around these dots already with this watercolor marker. I got this marker at St. Louis Art Supply. I don't know if Amazon has it or not. It's called Sailor Shikiori. It's a brush marker, and it is a watercolor based marker. And I just particularly like the color of it. So when you go around here, it bleeds out. And what's nice about using a marker is that you can just bleed out sections here and there. You know, it's not, use the tip of your brush, and don't hit all of it with water. Just hit part of it. And look at how delicate that looks and how it pops those circles, right? I think that's super cool, super, super cool. You can see I used it up here too. But I want to find another page where I thought it might be able to use some embellishment. Perhaps, okay, so here, oh, this is about helper cats. I pieced these together. This was from a Chewy's box. It said, helping dogs and cats or something. I don't know what it was, but for some reason it made me think of that Mr. Rogers thing. Look for the helpers, you know? Have you heard about that? Like if bad things happen, look for the helpers. And I was thinking that my cats are the helpers because they definitely are for me. My cats are. So they're helper cats. So I pieced together the letters, and just makes me really happy. So lots of random little things in here. Now the back part of this page has not been embellished in any way, not at least with these things I'm talking about. So let's talk about some other, this is another one of these. Okay, let's talk about some other options. So these sailor pens, I have several of them, but I bought them just one by one. I think a few colors I like. I always like this kind of dark bricky red. I mean, look, I bought the same color in a Posca too. And then I always like this kind of Indian yellow or yellow orange as well. So this is the yellow orange, and if you put it, you can just put it, that's over some plastic part. But I'm gonna try to, okay, this is more paper down here. Put it on with your finger if you want. If you want to move it more, you can do it like we did before. Look how that the water pops that color. I don't think this is coming up on the camera the same way I'm seeing it through my eye, but oh my goodness. Let's try it here. I'm going to hold the camera up while I do it. Okay, so there, it's kind of that yellow-orange, right? And watch when this pops. Hopefully it will. It goes this weird color that I find very pleasing. So that is fun to do. All right, so let's say you have some Poscas. See these dots right here? This could be done with a Posca. So here's my Posca marker. I made a little pile of Posca ink right there, and I'm gonna hit it and just add some dots. Now the ones I had below are little baby dots, but these are much bigger. And I love that. I love a variation in size. I love the fact that the Posca is going to be permanent, and that's just too cool. The other thing you can, of course, do with the Posca is you can make dots in specific areas, and you can control it so much better. So put a few there. So the Poscas are a great answer for that. And then the last one I want to show you is this is a Derwent ink tense. So let me go back to another page here. Let's go back to this page, and I'll put some around this guy here. All right, so again, sienna gold. It's that orange yellow. This is a little bit different version of it, but I still like it. And I'm gonna wipe off the tip because I think it traveled with some other colors, and it has it on the tip. Let me just put this in my pencil sharpener real quick. Okay, there, that's better. It's more clean now. All right, the thing about the ink tense is it'll dry down fairly permanent, and I'm not necessarily concerned about it in my journal, especially in my last layer, because I know that it's gonna dry down and then it's gonna be in the book, and that'll be all good, right? So we'll dip this in the water, and then we'll use it wet on the edge here. And since it's a pencil, I mean, it's a pencil, they're called ink tense. It's an ink-based pencil. You know, you're gonna get a, you know, real sheer effect. So they're great to use, and I do love them. I love making lines, random lines in my journal, and that's a fun way to, you know, to work. I think I got this little pile of paint here, and you know, I can't not do something with it, right? So I'm gonna put some little fingerprint marks down here across the bottom. And the thing I'm going to say about this DD stencil is it's got these vintage parts down here. It's got linear parts, it's got letters, it's got numbers. I mean, for me, it's a little bit of everything, and I do like it very, very much. So if you're talking about versatility in a stencil, it's got all the things. So that's enough of my, my little, you know, pitch for DD stencil, but I just really like it. So that is my wellness journal for November. I had a horrible month. We had all these illnesses going on, and I had to have a colonoscopy. I would urge you to get one. Great result, blah, blah, blah. But at any rate, I wish you all the best, and I will see you again for the final month of December, and then we'll do a flip through of the whole journal, and I hope you're doing something to feed your art soul, because it is meaningful work that I wish everybody would engage in. Truly. Take care.